What's up, everybody? I'm Elijah, the hero. Thank you for stopping by my channel. This is my first video on YouTube. I've been streaming regularly, well, at least for the past week. Just started there on Twitch, so I'd appreciate if you guys stop there at Elijah the Hero on Twitch. But yeah, we're not here to talk about Twitch. We're here to talk about the Batman, newest DC movie. Robert Pattinson's Batman, Matt Reeves' Batman. Yeah, this is the review, how I felt about the movie, what I thought, what I think they can improve, all those things. For the most part, this review is gonna be spoiler free. I think we're probably gonna get into a little spoiler territory at the end, but I'll put a disclaimer and I will put a timestamp of when we actually talk about the spoilers if you just want to know some spoiler type stuff. But yeah, let's get into it. So it's gonna break it down like this: pros and cons list, and kind of like some sidebars. So let's start with the pros. Music. The music in this movie is good. The Batman theme that you hear in the trailer, they play it almost any time Batman really shows up, and I never got tired of it. They could have played it in every scene, and I would have never got tired of it. It is just that good. I can't even get it out of my head. That's how good it is. Cinematography, great. It feels like this movie was shot to tell a story first versus being a kind of epic superhero type movie. This movie is very grounded, very Gotham centric. Gotham feels like a character in this movie, and the way Matt Reeves shoots it just, if Gotham feels alive in this movie, which I think I had a problem with the last iterations, except for the Christopher Nolan trilogy. I feel like Gotham was alive in that movie, but sometimes not really. This one, Gotham feels like it's living, breathing. The crime is there. The citizens are there. Everything. Like, a big thing that I do like about this movie, and I think the cinematography helps a lot, is that the villains feel afraid of Batman. Little spoiler, but in the opening of the movie, there is it's Halloween, and there's people robbing stores or graffitiing, doing crazy stuff, doing criminal stuff, and the bat signal goes up, and in the shadows, like, the criminals look because they think Batman is gonna come out and beat them up, but in fact, he's only one man. He can't be everywhere, but they're just stressing the fact that these people are afraid of Batman. Of course, there are some people who are not afraid of Batman, but the low-level thugs who are robbing, a gas station, they're afraid of Batman. It makes them think twice about what they're doing before they do it, and to know if Batman is actually standing there, because in this movie, Batman actually walks out of a lot of shadows, like he is a creature of the night, like a demon or something that they might potentially see. And that's the thing that I've always felt was never really introduced in other Batman movies, is the citizens actually taking that, or not the citizens, the criminals actually taking that second guess, which in the Arkham games is something that Batman said that he wanted to be. He wanted to be the fear, the thing that made them second guess themselves. That is what he wants to be. And in this Batman, he kind of is that, but not fully yet. It's just really the low level grunts that are kind of afraid of him. Another thing I liked about the movie, the Batsuit. When I first heard Robert Pattinson was playing Batman, I didn't know about him. The only thing I really know about him is Twilight, which I'm pretty sure everybody knows about. That this is the biggest movie he's been in besides this movie. But I have to say, he's a great Bruce Wayne and a great Batman. I know a lot of people online are saying that he's not that great of a Bruce Wayne, but I think he is, and I will tell you why I think that in a little bit when we get there. But the Batsuit, I wasn't the biggest fan. And I guess we could talk about Catwoman's suit too. I'm still not the biggest fan of her suit. I don't think her suit is that great. I don't like how she has that kind of customized ski mask on. It looks stupid. It looks ridiculous. I know she's a cat burglar, and they're leaning more into that cat burglar-esque type of costume for her, but I don't like it. Zoe Kravitz was really good at playing Catwoman. Any scene she was in was really good. Don't have too much to say about her, but back to the Batsuit. It's pretty good. I wouldn't say it's my favorite live action Batman suit. I especially don't like the cowl. I don't like how it kind of sits on Robert Pattinson's head. It makes his forehead look ginormous, but and some shots when he's turned to the side. But other than that, it's a okay bat suit. It gets the job done. And I know a lot of people were saying that the gun that killed Batman's parents was in the bat emblem, but I'm not too sure if that's the case. He never actually specified if that's the gun that killed his parents, and if he did, I must have missed it, or if it was like in like a prequel comic or something. I don't know, but they never actually specified if that was the gun that killed his parents inside the bat emblem. But let's move on to the next point. Action. The action was really good in this movie. Batman was fighting for his life in some of these shots. It was just really good. I liked it more than anything that we've seen so far, except I can't remember his name. The Ben Affleck's Batman in Batman versus Superman in that warehouse scene. I still think that's like kind of the best live action Batman fight that we've seen. I don't think there's anything on par with that one in this movie. I mean, he did fight, but the fights were good, but he was getting hit a lot. So it seems like, they said that he did travel the world in his college years in the prequel novel. But it seems like he's not really a master of fighting. Alfred taught him how to fight, and it said in the prequel novel that when he was in college and he would go to different universities around the world, he would study their martial arts. But it seems like he's like not a master at it, but he is a good fighter. He's like somewhere between like a master and a novice. Like he's not new to it, but he can fight. He can knock a lot of goons out, but he was getting hit a lot. So it doesn't really seem like he's a master at it yet. But yeah, the fighting in action was really good. The pyrotechnics in the movie, like all the explosions and fire and stuff like that, like that scene where he drew the Batmobile through the fire, that was really nice. It's shot really nice. The lighting is nice. It could be too much because it's a Batman movie, so it's shot in the darkness a lot of the time, and I felt like the lights were were pretty bright. So like, if you have any like flashing light problems, they probably should like put a warning up, because the lights are it's crazy. It hurts to see some of the lights sometimes shine at you. But back to Robert Pattinson's portrayal of Batman. I feel like this is the most comic book accurate Batman that we've seen and gotten in a live action. This feels like Batman when he's in that suit. This is exactly how I think Batman would be in real life. He doesn't talk at all to people. He only kind of says what needs to be said, and that's it. He does the disappearing thing when people turn around and then he's gone. But it seems like in the past movies, he would just do it kind of be rude and just to show that he can do it. But this version of Batman, Robert Pattinson's Batman, is socially awkward. So it seems like it's more of a social awkward thing to do for him. Like, he has nothing else to say and he really doesn't know how to say goodbye to you. So he's just going to leave. And that's what he does. So I did like that. I do like how he steps out of the shadows a lot, and he seems like a demon, like a monster, something like to be feared, which, he strikes the fear in some of the enemies that he fights. And I feel like that is just really done, and that's how Batman should be done. He's nocturnal, and it seems like in the movie there's actually a scene where Bruce is doing something during the day and he has to put sunglasses on because it's just so bright, because he's always up at night. His eyes are not used to being in the sunlight anymore, because he's a bat now. He truly is the Batman. He is a bat. Also like how angry he is. He's just so angry at the world. They said this is not an origin story for Batman, but it does, in a way, feel like an origin story. I'll get more into that later. But I do like how he is, angry at the world. It seems like he's looking for a good way to die in this movie. He rushes into a lot of things without thinking clearly. So I guess that shows his inexperience. But it seems like he's looking for a way to die. Like, there's some scenes where he just shows up in the bat suit and just shows up right in front of a goon warehouse, like no stealth, no nothing. Like, he's not sneaking in. He's coming through the front door, full bat suit and all, to fight. And I'm just thinking, like, why would he do that? That doesn't seem smart on his part. But I think it's more of like, it's the only way he feel like he can reconnect with his parents by dying by a gunshot or something. Or I don't know. He just feels like he's looking for a way to die in this movie. He's basically a Batman with no soul. Basically, he has no like motivation for being Batman other than looking for a good way to die, in my opinion. And I also liked the mental illness aspect of the movie. Riddler, he's crazy, but Batman is just as crazy. It feels like Batman has some mental issues. He's not over his parents' death, depression, all that. He doesn't talk to people. People talk at Bruce Wayne in this movie. He doesn't talk it back to them, which I thought was pretty weird because we're so used to a suave, cool, calm, collected playboy Bruce Wayne. Now, this Bruce Wayne, he don't care about none of that. He don't care about his family's wealth. He doesn't care about the money. All he cares about is going in the streets and beating people up. That's it. That's all he is. He's there for the thrill of it at this point. And I think it's the only way for him to feel alive but want to die by it at the same time. Like, this is how he wants to go out. He wants to go out as the Batman. In this movie, it truly is Batman is the person, Bruce Wayne is the mask. It's the other way around. Batman's not the mask in this movie. Bruce Wayne is the mask. He has no want to be Bruce Wayne. If he could be Batman full time, he is going to be Batman full time. Which will lead into another point. Actually, we can just lead into it now because that's pretty much everything I did like about the movie. We can go into the cons. Picking up where I left off with him not caring. I don't like that about this Batman, that he doesn't care about his family's wealth and his family's legacy in this movie, which, was pretty much told in the trailers. He does not like, he doesn't care about, being a philanthropist, playboy, anything like that. He doesn't show up. People like the lady who's running for mayor in the movie is trying to contact Bruce Wayne, but she can't get in touch with him because he's doesn't want to talk to her. Basically, it feels like Alfred really runs Wayne Industries in his stead, but it doesn't make sense to me. And I guess this is where it comes from, like a Bruce Wayne that's still young and kind of immature. He doesn't care about his family legacy, but that money is the only thing that's keeping him to be Batman. He can't be Batman without that money in this world. He can't be the Batman without that money, because without that money, and he tried to be Batman, he'd be dead pretty quickly because he gets shot at a lot in this movie, and the suit tanks most of the bullets for him. In the trailer, there's actually a scene where he's walking down a hallway and he's like just walking through the bullets. Without money, he can't do that. So I feel like he needs to think, I need this money. Bruce Wayne is needed, but he feels like Bruce Wayne is not needed. And he views Bruce Wayne and Batman as two separate people when they need to be one, because one can't live without the other. Like, if he does be Batman full time, Bruce Wayne would die out. They'll start wondering where he is, kick him off the board maybe, and, lose his money. And then he can't be Batman because he has no money. So I didn't like that fact in the movie, that he didn't care about his family's legacy or the money. He didn't really care about any of that. Another thing that we can get out the way, this movie is long. I believe it's like 2.5 hours long. There's not a lot of slow moments. The third act of the movie is really, really slow. There's no Batman in that third act of the movie. It's just, Bruce Wayne awkwardly looking at the ground and looking at people and not saying anything. It was very unneeded. There's a kind of like side story with Selina that's really unneeded. And actually, that can be another con that I could talk about. Zoe Kravitz is really good as Catwoman, but she doesn't really bring anything to the table. Like, I feel like if she wasn't like basically just like a kind of filler, what kind of got Batman sometimes to point A to point B with learning things. But I feel like he could have learned a lot of the things that he could have learned without her, and I feel like she really didn't add anything to the movie. But I mean, it's good to see Zoe Kravitz. I'm not complaining about that, but she really didn't add anything in my eyes to the movie. She was more of just like a I don't know how to explain it. I don't know. She was just there basically for me. She didn't really do too much for me. You could have replaced her with like Robin or somebody, and it probably would have been the same effect. But yeah. Movie's way too long. Didn't really care for Catwoman. Somebody I did care about who wasn't in the movie a lot was Alfred. Not enough Alfred. He Andy Serkis plays Alfred, and Andy Serkis is a great actor. And he really didn't do anything in the movie. Yeah, don't if you like Alfred, don't expect to see him a lot. He's kind of just there also. Basically, it seems like Bruce doesn't even really like Alfred that much until like the third act of the movie, but it seems like Alfred is just an annoyance to Bruce at this point. But yeah, Alfred is just there. He kind of helps Bruce with like one clue. That's basically it. He's not the man in the chair like he is in all the other movies. He's definitely not the guy in the chair for Bruce. He literally is just there to be there. And it seems like Alfred runs, I said this already, but it seems like Alfred runs Wayne Industries for Bruce, because they actually have another maid there. So like Alfred's not really a butler in this movie yet. But I don't know. Not enough Alfred for me. And then another thing, I know I said I like the music, but sometimes in some scenes the music is just way too loud and the voices are too low. Bruce is constantly whispering when he's in the bat suit. If he's not yelling, he's whispering. He doesn't talk in like a monotone voice or a normal voice. He's whispering 95% of the time. And sometimes there's a dramatic music that plays over his voice when he's whispering, and you cannot really hear what he's saying sometimes. So I thought that was a problem. And then I talked about the flash. They need to add a flash warning in this movie because the lights are so bright in this movie sometimes. Any lights from a car is going to be bright, and you're sitting in the movie theaters in darkness. At least in my movie theater, it was really dark in there. They didn't have like the side lights on, so anytime the light shined, it hurt your eyes. A lot of people were groaning every time there was like a light shine. So I believe they could fix that, but other than that, those are the only cons I have for the movie. And then like, little sidebars. Back to how I said that this is not an origin story for Batman, but it is in a way. This is going to get into a spoiler territory, so if you care about spoilers, give you like a 5-second warning. Do not watch this part if you care about spoilers. But in this part of the movie, throughout the movie, Bruce keeps referring to himself as Vengeance. He doesn't really refer to himself. Well, he never really referred to himself as Batman. He is the Batman, but he refers to himself as Vengeance. He's there for vengeance, but vengeance for what? And the vengeance that he's there for is for his parents' murder. He feels like he needs to go out and kind of purge the world, or purge Gotham, really. And I do like this, that he's just angry. He just wants to beat up people or beat up criminals and get that anger out and be vengeance. But in reverse, this leads to a lot of bad things, because this is where it comes from, where without the Bat there wouldn't be these villains kind of narrative. The Riddler is inspired by what Batman does in the movie. He's inspired by the 2 years that he's been Batman, beating up people and being vengeance. That he orchestrates this kind of like this game of exposing all these corrupt people in Gotham, because he thinks he's the good guy. He believes he's the good guy, which in the movie a lot of people agree with what he was doing. He built a following. The Riddler is very anonymous type. The hacker group, that is basically who he is and what he accomplishes throughout the movie, is becoming the anonymous hacker group. Finding all these information about these corrupt cops, corrupt senators, politicians, people in power. You figure out that they're all corrupt basically, and Bruce is starting to figure out that they're all corrupt. The Riddler would have never done any of this if there wasn't a Batman. The Batman inspired him to do everything that he does. And I do like that in the world. It shows that, it gets that morale question, like, is the Batman actually a good thing, or is it a bad thing for the city of Gotham? Yeah, you would think he's a good thing because he's stopping crime, but what else is, what kind of other message are people who have mental issues, or what kind of twisted kind of message are they getting from what he's doing? Like the Riddler. The Riddler saw that, he's out here with the mask on. This is who he truly could be. This is who he wants to be. And he wants to clean up the city of Gotham. Yeah, he's doing it in a crazy way. I would compare it to like My Hero Academia, All Might. Batman is the All Might in that universe. He's the Batman in that universe. He's the top hero. And there's a kind of vigilante, kind of anti-hero, I would say, because his name is Stain. He's not a bad guy, but he kills heroes who he doesn't think are good enough to be heroes. He thinks it's fake, it's a facade. And he gets this twisted kind of mindsetting be from All Might. He thinks people should aspire to be like All Might, but not every hero is. Some of them are there for the money. And that's kind of where the Riddler is. He's inspired by Batman to do what he does, but he kind of does it in a twisted way that's not good for Gotham and actually ends up hurting Gotham more than anything. Another thing in the movie that I really would like to see is more fighting. Bruce has about like 3 actual or 4 fight scenes where he's actually throwing hands with people. There's a lot of detective work in this movie, which is really good because Batman's the world's greatest detective. And I felt like there could have been a little bit more fighting, or make the fight scenes a little bit longer, because he ended the fight scenes less than like 2 minutes half of the time. But other than that, I feel like there could have been more, a little bit more fighting. Another thing is, I feel like, sidebar, I feel like, this is the best Batman that we've gotten, and I honestly don't think it's going to get better than this. Robert Pattinson, he turned me around, because I had to say I was not really feeling him being Batman, but he turned around. Really great actor, really great Batman. Let's get into some things that I think they should do in the Batman 2, I guess if they can call it. I know a lot of people were talking about Deathstroke being the second villain of the movie. I don't think that should be the case, because this is a spoiler again. Where the movie ended, Gotham kind of is in a terrible state when the movie ended. It got flooded. So crime is going to be running rampant. People are going to be taking advantage of the floods and the state of Gotham right now. And I feel like this would be the best time to introduce a character like Wrath. I think, somebody who fights for criminals after Batman, did what he did in this movie and the way the movie ended. I think he would be a good villain to introduce in the second movie, a reflection of what Batman has caused, a Batman looking in the mirror. Because at the end of the movie, Batman finally stops calling himself Vengeance, and he thinks that he needs to be a symbol for something different, because he realizes what, this little vengeance thing that he's going on, how it's affected people. In the movie, Selina was going to kill somebody for vengeance because she felt like that's what Batman would do, and that's what Batman has done. But he hasn't killed anybody, but he's vengeance at the end of the day. He starts figuring out that he needs to be hope instead of vengeance, and that's why I say that I think that this movie is going to, the movie is an origin story, because it's not an origin story for the Batman, it's an origin story for what the Batman means to Bruce Wayne. And I feel like the Batman now realizes that he needs to be a shining hope, not vengeance, because vengeance doesn't get anybody anywhere. He needs to save people. He needs to care about, the citizens more and do more. And I feel like a lot of people were complaining about Robert Pattinson's Bruce Wayne not, being that playboy philanthropist and, being Bruce Wayne. But I feel like if they do a second movie, he is going to become that Bruce Wayne. He's going to realize that he needs the money. He needs to help the city even more. Bruce Wayne and Batman, basically being Gotham's shining light, is a full-time job. And he needs Bruce Wayne and Batman to do both of that. When I was watching the movie, I was thinking, there's no way this Bruce Wayne could ever have a Robin, because he is so unhinged and crazy. But at the end of the movie, when he figures out who he really wants to be and what the Batman means to him, I could definitely see him getting a Robin or something like that and being a mentor type to somebody. But yeah, I think, Wrath would be a good person to test that new hope that he found at the end of the movie and figure out what the Batman needs to be. I think Wrath would be a good person to test that out on him. But yeah, that's what I think could be better about the Batman. That's how I feel about the Batman, and who I think the next villain should be. Definitely, it should be Wrath. And um, I don't know. Uh, I'm pretty good on the Joker. I don't really need to see another Joker anytime soon. Um, Bane, I guess, would be a little bit cool, but I don't really need to see him either. Deathstroke is no. I think Deathstroke would add nothing to a sequel movie for Batman. It would just be a. I don't know. I don't know what kind of story you would write around Deathstroke. Deathstroke's best story is the Judas Contract, and that's a Teen Titans. Um, that's a Teen Titans story. So I don't know what you would do with Deathstroke. Personally, I don't think Deathstroke would ever be a good antagonist in a movie. Well, he would be a good, like, somebody could send Deathstroke after Batman, but not a good antagonist throughout the whole movie. It would be a dumb idea. But other than that, yeah, the only person I could really think who could make a good movie, like make a good sequel for a Batman movie, would be Wrath. I think he would be great. I think he would be great. We haven't seen him in a live action movie yet. It would be nice to get a new villain versus rehashing the same old ones that we've been seeing all the time. But yeah, that's my thoughts about the Batman movie. It's my review. If I had to give it a rating, I think I would give it an 8.5 out of 10. Best Batman movie we've gotten. I'm excited to see what else they do with this series. I do know that there's going to be 2 spin-offs that come to HBO Max. It's going to be a Penguin show and then a Gotham PD show about the city, expanding this universe more. But yeah, comment, like, subscribe. And yeah, tell me what you guys' thoughts. Tell me who you think should be the next villain in the next Batman movie, or who do you want to see as the next villain. And yeah, I'm Elijah the Hero. I appreciate you guys stopping by. Thank you.